Morning, Belinda.
Morning. How are you today?
Good, and yourself?
Good, good, good. Hey, Lewis, I know it's been a
Yep.
while for you,
Mhm.
but how'd you go about expired leads?
Expired leads?
Yeah, with the do not call.
Oh,
How
yeah.
would you?
Well, you can use a system like Land Voice or
Okay,
whatever system you want to use, and you can filter out by DNC, by Do Not Call.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and just call the ones who are available. Have you ever tried any of those?
I was just on a call last week on Thursday with the representative from Land Voice, but I didn't know anybody else that used them.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think we may. No, we don't. Sorry. I was gonna say I think we may have an account open still with Land Voice, but if we do, it's only for Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to get one for your native MLS.
All right, I will try them out.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing today?
Great. Great Monday. I have an offer accepted finally.
Good, bro.
Nice.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Look like it's winning the lottery.
Yeah, it's not easy in this market.
Man, after 20 showings on 5 written offers, over asking.
Finally, something accepted. Right now, we got to make sure it goes through attorney review and then inspections.
And speaking about that over asking, I just saw an advertisement posted about Ribbon, I guess Ribbon Financing now doing appraisal guarantee. You heard about that?
I don't even know what ribbon financing is.
Apparently it's a company that's doing loans. I just saw it pop up on Facebook, an ad for it pop up on Facebook. So what they're advertising now is that they will cover if the if the home doesn't appraise and you put in an offer price,
Yeah,
that they're going to give you a loan to
cover the
cover what it didn't appraise for.
Wow,
Yeah.
sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yep. Having 2 mortgages out. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and I'm sure that loan for that balance isn't exactly cheap. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started with our training for today. It's 9:05. If you guys hear some humming in the background, I apologize. Every Monday morning, the leaf blowers, they come out and they like to serenade me. So I get started here.
Budgeting. What expenses should I expect? Don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once. Drew Houston. All right, budgeting. So we've talked about the importance of knowing your numbers. I cannot stress this enough, but a lot of us focus just solely on how many millions of dollars that we've sold, the money coming in, but honestly, none of that matters unless you know how much money is going out. So we are going to start with your income. So this could be representing buyers or sellers, or maybe you're primarily a referral agent or a lease agent. And then some brokerages even have the opportunity of making income by attracting other agents to the company. So what is your business model? How are you going to generate income for you? And then the other part of this, we need to look at your expenses. So you have your cost of sale, which are your transactional based expenses. How much did it cost you to transact that particular sale? And then you have your generic business operating expenses, which are going to be, like I said, just generic across the board with your business. So cost of sale, this could be a referral fee. If you paid out, for example, a 25% referral fee, then that's how much it costs you to transact that sale. If you're on a team, how much is your team or your buyer agent split? Are you splitting, for example, 50-50? What does that look like? If you're part of a large brokerage brand, are you on a split? Are you on a paid transaction fee? What does that look like? And what are you receiving in return? That's huge when you're looking at brokerages. How much are you receiving? Because cheaper is not always better. So look at percentages versus a transactional based. What does that look like for you? Marketing, how much are you putting into? We talked about to no more than 10% gross commission income. And then if you're on the listing side, then you're also going to have the staging and the professional photography. So staging consultation, not a full stage, otherwise that may break the bank, and hire a professional photographer. You may even look at if you've got some land or a unique property, you may have to do some drone shots, you may need to do a video, etc. So always look at your listings as an investment. Now, your generic operating expenses, marketing is going to be part of this too, just marketing your personal brand, your lead generation, right? And we need systems around this. Your auto, you're going to be in your car a lot, especially if you're dealing with buyers, you're going to be in your car. So auto is definitely going to be one of those expenses. Supplies, right? Dues, your local board due, your MLS dues, technology. If you've got to buy a new computer or laptop, that's going to be an operating expense. Insurance, right? If you're working at your house, home insurance, maybe you choose to have an umbrella policy or auto policy, whatever that looks like for you. Salaries, if you have anybody on salary. If not, I'm going to show you ways that you can leverage without having agents necessarily on salary. You can leverage in other ways as well. Of course, education. Every state has different education requirements, but I also recommend learning as much as possible. Don't just do your minimum CE requirements. And always recommend hiring a mentor or a coach, because coaches really allow us to see where our blind spots are. Okay, sometimes it's the slightest shift, the slightest change that we can make to see the biggest difference. So your action item for today is go ahead and fill out, even if you're a new agent, use examples and fill out your budget worksheet. Determine your return on investment. What is your time and investment worth? If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. By Martin Luther King Jr. All right, so we all hear ROI and ROT. What does this mean? So ROI is going to be your return on investment. This is huge, especially in the investment world, but this is key also just as a business owner. And then we have to look at not just our monetary investment, but also your return on time. So you want to think about this. You cannot manage something you cannot measure. I'm going to say that again. You cannot manage something you cannot measure. So you cannot manage your true success. We've talked about P&Ls, profit and loss. We've talked about budgeting and cost of sales and operating expenses. We cannot measure our true success unless you're managing those numbers. And we also want to make sure that we are creating realistic expectations for ourselves. So we've talked about the funnel, how to generate 100 leads in 10 days, but you have to know your personal conversion rate. So if your conversion rate is 2 to 3%, then you can expect 2 to 3 sales over the course of maybe the next 6 months from those 100 leads, right? And that's why we call it building a funnel, building the pipeline, because when you do that consistently every week over the course of 90 days, you're going to continue to build up that funnel. That's why prospecting is so key. You've got to know your personal conversion rate. How many leads are you closing to appointments? So out of those 100 leads, let's say you got on the phone with 25 of them. How many appointments are you getting to close, right? It's very important that we know that. So how many appointments are turning into closing? So there's two parts of this. How many leads are you closing to appointments? And then how many appointments are you closing to an actual closed transaction? You need to know those two ratios. How much time? So we've talked about return on investment, return on time. How much time is spent versus the return? And then setting realistic expectations, knowing your specific numbers, okay? So your action item for today is to fill out your return on investment and your return on time worksheet. Marketing, what's your superpower? You can't ask customers what they want and then try to give that to them. By the time you get it built, they'll want something new, as Steve Jobs. Marketing, so what is your superpower? This is why it's so important, as we've talked about, knowing your ideal client, your irresistible offer, and creating an experience, because you have to find what your specific superpower is. That way you can specialize your market and target your marketing toward your ideal clients. So target your clients through designated squeeze pages and landing pages. A lot of us just get so caught up in just advertising our main website, but we're not being targeted in our marketing. So if my market is people who want to purchase brand new construction, then I would create landing pages only for new construction. If my market is first-time home buyers, then I would have a landing page, maybe even with an intro video, to only first-time home buyers. Same thing, if I go after investors, then I would have a squeeze or a landing page designated to short sales and foreclosure. So what does that mean to you? And then make sure all of your marketing, that it's like we have the microwave marketing mentality. You have less than 8 seconds to capture their attention. We literally have the attention span of a goldfish right now. And that's because of social media. We are so used to that quick return. So don't make it overly complicated. Make all of your marketing quick, easy, simple. If you think about your traditional newspaper and you advertise above the fold, if you think about it, where is the major advertisement hill? It's above the fold on the headline. And you want to do the same on your website, your ClickFunnels, your landing pages, your squeeze pages, whatever it is that you're using. And then images and videos create the most clicks. So of course we want to have text, that way we build some of the engagement and optimization inside. But images and videos are going to be key. And then always make sure in any marketing that you do, number one, it needs to be consistent with your brand. And number two, it should be authentic. Potential clients want to connect. So one of the best ways that you can be authentic is showing the personal side of yourself, not just the professional side. And please just get over yourself and go do some live videos. They do not need to be perfect. I would argue that clients would rather not see something as perfect. They want to just see you real and authentic. Okay. So nurture that. And then you also nurture your sphere of power that we've talked about in the past. And then create a touch plan with your 3x3, which if you remember is your past clients, your current clients, and your future clients. If you want to farm, then you need to send mailers at minimum to a neighborhood at least 12 times a year. We've even discussed the social Powerball, where you can have your affiliates and yourself group together and build an audience on 2 or 3, no more, social media platforms. You don't need to be an expert on all the social media platforms. Only pick 2 or 3. And build relationships through your marketing. Always be direct with the client what to do next. So you need, through your marketing, need to tell the client how you want them to respond. So we're going to be targeted. We talked about a few different ways, another few ways: builders, investors, probate attorneys, locksmith, doctors, schools. The list goes on and on and on. So how are you going to target your market and your listings outside of just the MLS? Now, I've talked about my 52-point marketing plan. I'm going to share it with you below, but also you need to make sure that you perform your own marketing plan. Now, if you want to increase the optimization in your website, then you can do some blogs. Make sure that you're optimizing with certain keywords, about a 1,500 word sweet spot, if you will, and then feature a specific image and use trending hashtags, because a blog doesn't mean anything unless it can be found, right? So that's where optimizing with certain keywords and hashtags is going to be key. So if you're going to be talking about new construction in Tampa, Florida, then make sure those keywords are throughout your blog multiple times, and it's most importantly in the first sentence. You want to take all of your marketing online with social media sharing. So you can also share articles and still advertise your site, and it's by using a program called Sniply. It's snip.ly. So maybe you're not a writer, maybe you don't want to write blogs. That's okay. You can share other people's content, run it through Sniply, where it's going to have a little snippet on the very bottom of how they can get directly in touch with you or to your website. So part of our marketing approach is you could even look, again, check your local ordinances and with your real estate commission. But if it's allowed, local giveaways is huge. Again, always leading with value. You can even build an ebook online or a how-to guide. These are pretty relatively inexpensive to do. Create a checklist, a resource list. Again, this is why we want to build a vendor list. Webinar training. If you want to focus on first-time home buyers, I would definitely create a webinar training where they can come on, get the basic information, you're leading with value, and on the back end that they're building the relationship. And anything that you do, whether it's a resource list, a checklist, a webinar training, an ebook, always make sure that you have some place for them to register. It could be through a landing page or even simply a free Google form. Right? So they log in their information. On the back end, you have captured their information. So that is key, because that's how you're going to generate leads. And you've got to think of Facebook, not just as social media, but Facebook is the new Google, right? So a lot of people ask, should I have a personal page? Should I have a business page? Should I have both? Yes, you absolutely should have both. And the reason why is Facebook wants you to pay to play. So you cannot advertise on your personal Facebook profile. So you do need to create a business page. With that said, you're going to create the most engagement most of the time on your personal page, especially with your sphere. So that's where building engagement comes really into play. I love to mix personal and business on my personal profile. Be very careful of doing that. You don't want to do it too much, because you definitely don't want Facebook to shut your profile down. But I like to build my personal brand on my personal page. So if you go check mine out, you're going to find some more information about me, about my programs, about my brokerage, but also you're going to find a lot of information about myself and my family, because that is my personal brand. I like to live life on my own terms. I'm a huge believer in leveraged income and financial freedom. So you're going to see all of that on my Facebook. Now, one of the benefits to a business page, like I said, is advertising. You can create lookalike audiences. You can literally upload and retarget some of your past leads. There's even an option where you can do a likely to move audience. And then, of course, Facebook now has Marketplace, which hasn't completely replaced Craigslist, but it might be on its way to do so. So Marketplace is a great way to utilize Facebook. And then sharing is caring, right? We talked about the social Powerball and how you can get a small group together who really commits to like, share, and comment each other's posts. This is huge. So that way you can help build the engagement. This is also where you can rebump old posts. If you've ever seen on Facebook a post, maybe it's from 2 years ago, and all of a sudden it shows up on the top of your news feed, it's because most likely somebody has gone, liked, and commented to kind of rebump that old post up. And then you can also target specific groups. There's tons of groups on Facebook. Engage, comment on posts, create friend lists that we've briefly talked about. I would put everybody on a friend list, but at minimum, have a friend list of your sphere of influence and your sphere of power. That way you can be very focused, laser focused when you get on Facebook of who you're going to build engagement with. And then if you go to a local restaurant, tag that local business, right? We want to build a relationship with them and we want to show them we care. Maybe they'll even share your post or it'll show up on their page. So make sure that you're tagging local businesses. And then of course, image is everything. We want to have clever copy in anything we do with a call to action, because you always want to direct what you want your client to do next. And then on the back end, we need a lead capture tool. Like I said, at minimum, a Google form. I hope you have a system around a CRM and an IDX and a way to capture your leads, but at minimum, a Google form. You need a way to capture those leads on the back end. Otherwise, you're just putting all the content out there without getting any leads in the any leads into your CRM. So some of the best times to post, and of course, this is going to also depend on your personal social media insights. There's a lot of ways to look at your insights on your personal profiles, but also depends on which social media platform that you're on. But this is just from what I have personally found, about 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. on Wednesdays is always great. And I have always had the best of luck Sunday morning, but more importantly, Sunday evenings. I think everybody tends to be kind of winding down for the weekend, maybe playing on their phones a bit more. So I find a lot of engagement on Sundays. And then with any advertising that you do, you want to identify a theme. So we've talked about mixing your personal and your business posts. Always have a theme, understand your brand and what that's going to be. And the next one here is invite engagement. So not every post needs to be real estate related, but we do want to increase our engagement. And some of the ways you can do that is simply by asking questions like, how many states have you lived in? How old were you when you purchased your first home? And you will see the post roll in. I've literally done this in live classes. And by the end of my class, people have had hundreds of comments. Now, what you want to do with those comments is you want to go like them and you want to return the comment. This is going to help build the engagement. So if you do this and you do this during your prospecting time, you will start seeing your engagement on your personal profiles go through the roof. So I want you to create your own marketing plan. That's going to be your action item for today. You can look at my 52-point marketing plan as a guide, and always make sure you perform your marketing plan. So don't just create one, but make sure you're performing it. Don't fall victim to the market. Always be able to shift and adjust appropriately. So we've talked about some of the ways you can do that is schedule price adjustments, who's going to pay for staging and photography. And we haven't highlighted on this yet, but one of the ways that I always get my seller to have skin in the game is I pay for this professional photography and staging up front. But I write in a provision, of course, check with your broker, but I'm going to let you know what my provision is. If the seller cancels or breaches this agreement, the seller to reimburse the listing agent an amount up to a certain dollar amount for the staging, consult, and professional photography. So this is going to allow your sellers to have skin in the game to ensure, again, that they are committed. So again, just as a recap, I am paying for the professional photography and the staging consult up front. I put in this provision in the listing agreement, check with your broker first, and then that way my sellers are having skin in the game. Now, if you're going to market a broker's open, all right, don't just go and throw in a $25 gift card. You want to truly plan your broker's open weeks in advance if you have the time. And you're going to do that by truly creating an extravaganza. One of my best attended brokers opens that we sold, I think, 8 new construction homes on. We had over 100 attendees in the house. You could not even walk in the house, but that's because we prepped, we used our strategic vendor list, and we had over $15,000 in giveaways. Anything from front seat basketball floor tickets to TVs, to laptops, to iPads. The list goes on and on and on. I didn't pay a penny for one thing because I made it a win-win for not only myself, my sellers, but also I made it a win for the partnerships and everybody that was sponsoring. So always look at how you can do things differently. And last but not least here, when you're inputting an MLS listing, always make sure that you fill out as much as possible so that way you can hit more searches. Don't forget, you know, all the little small details, all the way even down to the schools. That way you can hit the most searches. So your action item for today is to create your own marketing plan. Agent of influence, show your results. People who succeed have momentum. The more they succeed, the more they want to succeed, and the more they find a way to succeed, by Tony Robbins. All right, so we've talked about how can you leverage social media, how do you build your personal brand and really target your ideal client. Now I want you to focus on becoming an agent of influence. So not only do I want you to use social media to your advantage, I want you to truly use it to influence others, not in a manipulative way, but in a way to build your personal brand. So we're going to start with showing your results. Don't be afraid to kind of tweet your own horn on social media. Don't be afraid to share numbers. Be proud of that, because at the end of the day, buyers and sellers only care about results. Now, if that's all you're doing, that might be a bit much. Again, we've talked about you want to mix personal and professional. That way they also see another side of you. So share your personal average days on market as compared to other agents. Share that type of information, because what I find is, even if your friends, just on Facebook, for example, maybe they don't like or comment, but people are always watching. So always assume anything that you post, people are watching. All right. And on social media, post on social media daily and add listings to Facebook Marketplace groups and Craigslist. I would love for you guys to use the 10 by 10, how to generate 100 leads in 10 days. Because if you use that exact formula, you are sure to start generating leads. And then if you have listings, one of the best things that you can do is, I do this every single week, reverse prospecting. Send personalized messages to agents weekly with a virtual tour link. So it looks something like this. It'll say, hey, Bob, this is Mike Ruat with eXp Realty. I noticed you had a buyer interested in 123 Main Street. I just wanted to let you know we just reduced the price to $295,000. Here's a short video virtual tour link, and we're also doing an open house Sunday if you'd like to have your buyer swing by. Thank you so much. Please let me know if you have any questions. It's as easy as that, but personalized messages instead of the automated system is going to make a huge difference. Now, when you're going after your buyers and sellers, create some kind of plan of no obligation or cancellation guarantee that shows you mean business. I never have one of my sellers tied to the listing agreement. If they want out, that means I want out. Now, I also do the provision that if they do want out, they've got to have some skin in the game and they've got to pay for the prep work with staging and photography that I've already invested. I've never had a seller do this, but that way it's kind of psychological. They have skin in the game, but they also know that they can get out. We've talked about sharing your personal days on market, not only on social media, but also with potential clients. And post on social media on a regular basis. Post several times a week to Craigslist and share with your potential prospects in Facebook groups. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the best social media platform overall? It's the one that you're going to use. I don't want you to be on all of them. I want you to pick 2 or 3 and really not only what you personally like on social media, but also where your client's going to be. Use client testimonials to build social proof. A video if you can. Video is always better than text. So your action item for today is to pick your top 3 social media platforms and start posting, create engagement, and create a plan around your social media. CRM, database management. What is the best CRM? The one that you will use. Never take the position that things just happen to you. Rather, they happen because of something you did or something you did not do, by Grant Cardone. So now we're going to start talking. We've been talking a lot about prospecting and lead generation, but now how does it all come together? How do we convert those into paid transactions? And so one of the ways that we do that is make sure we have a system around follow-up. So there's a saying, fortune is in the follow-up. It could not be more true. So for those of you that don't know, CRM stands for Client Relation Management System, or some people say Customer Relation Management System. You want to add every contact you have into your database, how you know them, and set them up on a personalized drip. So a drip campaign is going to be personalized text and emails on your behalf. All right. So you want to build your pipeline every day. You want to literally add contacts, anybody and everybody you know, into your CRM every single day. And one of the advantages of having a customized drip campaign is it's going to be working on the back end on your behalf 24/7. Now, that doesn't mean just because you put a lead on a drip campaign that you don't pick up the phone and call them. You always want to make sure that you call them first. So number one, we'll start here with the text introduction video. You guys know that I love videos. I love text. I'm going to say it over and over again until I drill it in your head that you've got to do video. And if it's her birthday, send a personalized happy birthday video. Okay. Text and text messages, or even social media messages, get more responses than email. The email open rate is just going down the drain because of spam. So you are more likely to get a response from a Facebook Messenger or an SMS text than you are an email. One of the reasons why is you can literally see when they open it for the most part. And if you're not comfortable, if you're absolutely not comfortable with video, then at minimum, do an audio message. If you just are in a place where you can't do video, then send them an audio message. So once you've done that, then and only then, once you have texted them and you've tried to call them, then you want to automate and customize your drip campaigns, and that's where your CRM is going to come into play. Now, if you want to do newsletters, maybe you just got started, then there's, I believe it's free up until a certain point. You can use MailChimp. They have a lot of great templates that you can use. There's a ton that are out there. And then the check-in messages that I mentioned in our 10 by 10 formula, it's a simple and easy way to stay top of mind. So you just simply send a text message that says, hey, I was checking in if you needed anything from me today. Or you could simply, if you want to be a little bit more direct, you can ask, are you still in the market to buy a home? I would even add to that, can I get a yes or no? And you'll see the responses start rolling in of yes or no, and that's all they need to respond. But at least you're following up, you're staying top of mind. So your action item for today is to choose a CRM. There's a lot of great options out there, but choose the CRM and make sure that you follow through in using it, because like I said, there's a lot of options out there. The best CRM is going to be the one that you will commit and the one that you will use.
Welcome to your Week 10 Weekend Challenger. We are here on the home stretch, only 2 more weeks left. So this week we talked about the importance of numbers, kind of continuing from some of our previous conversations with budgeting and understanding all the money coming in, but more importantly, all the money that's going out. So we may have to revisit our one-page business plan and kind of adjust some of those numbers as we've dove a little bit deeper into some of our numbers. And then also becoming an agent of influence. Again, we don't want to be a secret agent. We want to make sure that the world knows that we're in real estate and we are here to provide value and we are here to help them. So make sure that you are posting consistently. There are third-party websites out there where you can kind of schedule some of your posts. If you're restricted on time, that may be something worth checking into. Otherwise, I don't want you just to throw a post, once a week or once every other week. and think that you did enough on social media. We have to be visible at all times, and we want to stay in top, top of mind with our clients. And one of the best ways to do that is making sure that we utilize a CRM, our clients relations management system. If you don't have one, please make sure. There's a lot of great options out there that, anything from free versions to something a little more inexpensive all the way up. So wherever you are in that, make sure you have some kind of CRM. You have to have a place where you can manage your clients, because it cannot all stay up here. And so for your weekend challenge, once you have chosen your CRM, I want you to go ahead and start importing all of your contacts. So let's start with all the contacts from your phone, and make sure that anyone and everyone that you know, friends, family, your sphere of power, past clients, that they are all in one place in your CRM.
All right, guys. Micah, she's telling us a lot of good things that we need to kind of understand as real estate agents, because getting started in this business, a lot of us don't treat it like a business. We treat it kind of like as a job almost. A lot of people come from the 9-to-5 world. So when they get into real estate, they just kind of look around and say, like, what do I do now? What's next? I have no idea how to get started, what to do with my days. How do I keep busy? What's the best return on my time? And what's great about what she's taught us today in this lecture is the fact that everything should be structured and everything should be treated as a business, down to every contact you make, down to the follow-up and the budgeting and everything that would go into a real business. So if you opened up a restaurant, or if you opened up, let's say, a car wash or anything like that, obviously you would track every expense, you would track every inflow of money. You would do everything you had to do to make sure that that business was on the right path. But what's funny is a lot of real estate agents don't do that with their own business. They kind of like shoot from the hip, and they just go day by day without really having a game plan or having anything to base their decisions off of. So I like what she gave us. The budgeting thing, I'll be honest with you guys, it took me a long time before I started even looking at my budgeting. I was always the kind of person to kind of say, well, I'm kind of like, I want to wing it and not really look at my finances. As long as I know I'm spending less than I'm making, then I'm okay. But it really does, even if you don't like it, because for me, I hate it. I hate accounting and I hate budgeting. Like, that's not my strong suit. I would rather be on the creative side. But it's necessary, even for someone like me who I don't see, the benefit in spending time on doing. I learned the hard way by not doing it. If you don't budget and you don't look at your line by line expenses, you're going to have a lot of waste. You're going to have a lot of unnecessary expenses, and you're going to be paying for things that you probably haven't used in a long time. So what I recommend you guys do is use her worksheet that she gave us here. This worksheet to me seems very, very easy to use, very user-friendly, right? And then we can also be very consistent with this because she tracks it by the month. So every month our budget can change, because think about it. In December, do you think we'd probably be spending more money or less money? Well, it depends. Are you planning on sending your clients, Christmas cards, gifts? Are you planning on maybe cutting down on your expenses in December because you have to spend more money at home? Maybe business is slower in December. Like, you won't know these things unless you start tracking. And the beauty of this is that as you do it year by year, you look back on the previous year and you say, well, I spent this much last year. So, that was pretty palatable for me. That was okay. I can do that. Maybe I could bump it up by 10% because it wasn't that bad. You got to keep all this in mind, and you got to always make sure you keep it in a place where you can revert back to it, because just filling it out for the hell of filling it out and not using the data is not going to help you. You can even fill it out manually if that's the type of thing you do, or you can turn this into a spreadsheet and keep this on your computer and always revert back to it at the end of every month, and then you can go and do your numbers. This takes a lot of discipline, but I will tell you, with time, this is going to help you become more of an efficient business person. Obviously, it's not going to make you a better real estate agent, but it will make you a better business person, because if you treat your business, you treat your real estate like a business, then I guarantee you'll be more profitable. And obviously it's not the only thing, but it's one of the major things that the agents who are top producers don't pay attention to. They may be great at selling, they may be great at listing, but they're not really that good at keeping the majority of money in their pocket. So this is going to be a very good thing for you to entertain and look at. Does anyone have a budgeting, or does anyone have a spreadsheet or a way to keep track of their expenses in their real estate business? Is anyone using something like this?
Yes, my tax guy gave me something when I first got into real estate back in November. I haven't been using it religiously as I should, but I do have one.
Good. What I like to do is I like to put down on the left-hand side the item of my expense, how much it is every month. And then I also like to put down how much income I made for that month on a separate column. And then at the end, you can make a formula where it tells you if you're negative or positive for that month. So this you can actually play around with, almost like if it's a game. You want to try to maybe keep your expenses under 20%, 30%, and you keep reverting back to it, and it tracks you as you're doing it. So simple, very simple way to do it. Or you could do it manually with a calculator and a paper like this, or whatever you like doing better. If you're old school, if you're tech savvy, it doesn't really matter as long as it gets done. Now, the return on investment and time, this is something that I think that for most agents, they like to kind of try everything, and then they end up failing at pretty much everything, because they try to do everything, even if it's something that they don't enjoy doing, or something that they're not good at, or things that maybe don't bring you any money. So this spreadsheet she's given us here, this is another really good resource. Let's go ahead and take a look at this together and see how she broke it down. So she has it down by the month, and then she has the activities. So on days worked, hours prospected, contacts, past clients, circle of influence, new connections, lead follow-up, buyer leads, buyer appointments held, listings held, listing appointments held, listings taken, price reductions, and listings sold. Okay, so you have to keep track of the stuff that you've done here with these items. You have to keep track of that somewhere else, and then transfer that at the end of every month to these boxes, so you can see how much you did every month. So for instance, if you worked, let's say, every day in January besides Sundays, then that means you have to discount 4 days out of, I don't know, 30 days, 20, maybe you work 26 days that month. Maybe in February you work 24 days, but from that time you also have to break down these activities, and you have to kind of be very honest with yourself. Keep it in your calendar when you do make the prospecting calls because it should be in your calendar anyway. Your prospecting should be in there regardless. And maybe after you're done with your session, you go into that activity for the day, and you put into the comments or the description section, you put in there that you made 1 hour worth of prospecting calls, or you made 30 minutes of prospecting calls that day because maybe you got an emergency call from somewhere. How many past clients or circle of influence have you contacted in January? Keep track of that on a daily basis. So some people don't contact their past clients or circle of influence every day. That's fine. You don't have to. I suggest that you do it at least once a week. I always have like a 1 day a week, preferably like a Friday or a Saturday, because those days people tend to be in kind of like better moods and not be as busy. So I recommend that if you are going to contact past clients or circle of influence, do it on those days, because most likely you'll have a better outcome with the conversations and better pickup rate. New connections. This is something that's always got to be top of mind. So every time you go somewhere, or every time you go to a party, or whenever you're in a situation where you can have the opportunity to meet new people, making an introduction of yourself is very important, because you're a walking billboard. You may not be wearing the shirt like Belinda does, or you may not be constantly bragging about what you do and where you work, but making connections is simply saying, introducing yourself to a stranger at a checkout line, or at the supermarket, or at the gym, or wherever you end up going, is important, because when someone feels that a connection is genuine, you'll get a lot more out of it. When someone starts off with a sale, they feel like, man, you don't really even care who I am. You just want to sell me something. So try to make as many human connections as you possibly can. Obviously, wearing the gear, sporting the swag is not a bad thing, because sometimes people will come up to you. If you're an introvert, this is a good way to make more connections. You can get a t-shirt that says, ask me about real estate. And maybe people come up to you and say, hey, by the way, I saw your shirt, are you a real estate agent? Whatever it is that will help you. If you're not an extroverted person, then you may want to start thinking about how can you make more connections. Lead follow-up is just as important as prospecting. Lead follow-up is is probably what's going to get you your buyers and sellers more than the actual prospecting initially. Don't get confused with prospecting and lead follow-up. They're not the same thing. They're two very different things. Prospecting is like planting the seed, and follow-up is like tending to your garden. It's like watering it, making sure it has enough sunlight. You know, that's what lead follow-up is, because we are not going to be able to reap our rewards if we don't do the follow-up. It's very unlikely that you plant a seed and you can reap it that afternoon. You know, it doesn't work that way. So, you know, very rarely will you ever get someone who just meets you on the phone for the first time and they'll say, yeah, let's do business together. Come over and list my house. So you have to build that relationship first if that's what you're going after. Obviously, buyer leads, depending on how you're getting these are, you know, important to track as well. Most buyer leads nowadays, they come from marketing, unless you have a big circle of influence where you're getting referral buyer leads all the time. This is all dependent on how you structured your business. So I like this list. You know, keep track of this list, use it. Obviously, it's all in on these slides if you guys want to download them. I'll download them and put them into our Drive file too if you don't have access to them. If you're new and you're on a call for the first time this week, then just put your email in the chat section, and I'll make sure I'll add you guys to the folder we have, the Google folder. That way we can go ahead and share these with you. Okay, let's look at a marketing superpower. The marketing plan is, look, this may seem like a lot. I mean, what she gave us here, this marketing plan may seem like a hell of a lot. And it's great for visuals. Does it mean you're going to do this every single, or are we going to do every single thing? No, but this is an amazing tool to take to a listing presentation with you. Imagine, right? So the person's going to say to you, so what makes you different than the other agent I'm thinking about selling with? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Well, let me show you my 52-point seller marketing plan. A lot of agents aren't going to have a 52-point seller marketing plan. You know, I personally had made up some folders for our office, and inside of the folder sleeve, it had a 12-step seller step-by-step marketing plan. The reason I went with 12 is because it was a little bit more palatable, and you can explain 12 steps. Explaining 52 steps, you might just bore the person. But if you want to give this to them as a visual for them to hold on to, I think that might be good. What you could do is maybe you can highlight like 3 to 5 of the most important ones for you, and then give them the other one, and then give them this and have them keep this as part of your package that you're going to leave with them, your marketing plan, your bio, maybe some comps, whatever you leave with them. This is a very important piece. So what I feel is that, like it was said previously in this training, and it's been said a million times before, a show is always better than a tell. If you tell someone I have a 52-point seller marketing plan, and they ask you, oh, really, what does that entail of? And then you probably won't even remember, because you just, you know, maybe just regurgitated that because you know it's somewhere in our folders, somewhere where you can access it at a later time. But if you have this with you, you can say, well, listen, it's actually a lot to go over with you. So I'm just going to give you the ones that I think are the most important, and I'm going to give you the sheet so you can keep with you, and then you can see what we do that makes us different than the competition. So this is a really nice piece. I like that one. Does anyone have anything like this? Does anyone have like a visual for their clients at a listing presentation? I think this is a really good piece.
Nope, but I do now.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, she's pretty much thought of everything for us, guys. All right, and lastly, what I want to cover here with what Micah said is that our CRM, the CRM we have at eXp Realty is top-notch, one of the best in the world for real estate agents. And I know this because I used to pay for this for our office, and we had the version that wasn't as detailed or wasn't as comprehensive as what we have now. We have KV Core, and I had Conversion, and it's very expensive to have this system. And we have it as part of our suite of technology. So what I will tell you right now is, do not for 1 second discount it because it's free. Not free, but it's cheap. You know, it's very cheap as part of our $50 package. Do not discount it one bit, because it is so powerful, and it has brought me so many clients, it has brought me so many agents, and it's brought me so many transactions automatically without me having to do much but program it. So if you haven't taken the time to really dive deep into the CRM that we have, KV Core, I suggest that you hop on over to our training schedule and see when they're going to have the next KV Core presentation so you can learn how to use the system better. If you still need more help with KV Core after that, KV Core has a whole suite of tutorials right on their site where you can learn everything from the basics to the more advanced functions of it. My favorite features of using KV Core is the automation part of it, where you can program messages to go out to your clients, well, I'll call them your leads, and turn them into clients automatically for you. And keep in mind, it also comes with an app and it comes with a website. So don't forget to give that to every single one of your leads, because what it's going to allow you to do is track them on the back end and see what they're doing. That way you can contact them when they're active. It alerts you when they're on there. So, you know, it's a good time to make the phone call when they're looking at homes or they're favoriting homes. And you can also tell them about more homes that match their criteria. So the CRM that we have, guys, if you don't use it religiously, like every day, if it's not your check-in point when you first get there, not only would it help you communicate with your clients, but it also keeps you on track to do what you're supposed to do that day. So remember the example I gave you of the brand new agent who doesn't know what to do when when they're new in the business. They're kind of like lost because they're used to the 9-to-5 world. Well, make pretend the CRM is your boss now, because the CRM will remind you that, hey, listen, you've got 3 phone calls to make today because these people haven't been contacted in 2 weeks. You know, you've got to write a blog today. You haven't done any marketing for this property. You haven't made this follow-up phone call. Like whatever it is that you have to do that day, it'll remind you. And as you do it, remember, it's not a mind reader, so you got to update it. As you make your calls, you update it with the results, you tell it what you did, and then you move on to the next. And maybe you have to program that again. When I say program, I make it sound probably complicated, but all you have to do is once you do the task, you have to just enter the details of what you did and then tell the system, hey, listen, remind me again in 2 weeks to make another call because that conversation went pretty well and I just got to do my follow-up. So if you don't use it, like Micah said, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter if it's the world's finest CRM that was created by Elon Musk and, you know, some of the smartest engineers in the world. It doesn't matter how good it is. If you don't use it, it's going to be worthless. I used to use I had a system called, what was it called? To make the phone, Mojo Cells. Mojo Cells was my triple line dialer where I used to make like 100 phone calls an hour. Now, Mojo Cells is known for being an amazing dialer, I guess that's what we call it, or a triple line dialer, where you can make so many of these calls and just leverage your time. That's what it's known for. It's not known for anything else besides that. That's what their strong suit is. But guess what? I found myself using the calendar function inside of Mojo Cells as my CRM. What do I mean by that? Well, it didn't have the function to automatically text or email my leads. It didn't do that. But what it did do is had a calendar built in where I would just go in and say, hey, listen, this is how that conversation went. I put in some notes into my phone call. And then in the calendar, I would tell the calendar when is the next time I should follow up. And so what I would do is instead of overcomplicating my life and using 2-3 different systems, I would just go into the calendar function for Mojo Cells, my triple line dialer, which is also, you know, it's a website, has an interface. I would go to the calendar function of it and I'd pull up the day. And I'd say, well, today is April 19th. Tell me who I was supposed to follow up with today on April 19th. And maybe I had some follow-ups to do over the weekend and I didn't do them. So show me everyone I had to follow up with today and follow up with on Sunday and Saturday, because maybe I went on vacation for the weekend or something. So then it'll pull up 15 names. And now I know that once I'm done prospecting that day, I have 15 follow-ups to do. And those follow-ups I would call and they would be like, wow, man, you're really on point. You said you would call me on the 19th and today's the 19th and you called me. So what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter the type of CRM system you have. It could be the simplest one. It could be the most complicated one. It could be the most expensive one or the cheaper. We can even do a free one. You can literally use your Google Calendar as a CRM if you wanted to. It doesn't matter as long as you have a system to use. And thankfully, we do have a really great system to use. If you use it, it's going to work. If you don't use it, you can go ahead and complain to everyone in the world that the system you have is not as good as LineDesk or it's not as good as Boomtown. And the fact is, it's just as good as anything else or better. The fact is, if you don't use it, nothing will ever work. People like to use scapegoats a lot of times. People like to blame others or point fingers because a lot of times you're not putting in the work. And, you know, I'm not saying anyone on this call in particular, but I will tell you, human nature, for the majority of people I've met in my life, it's easier to say it's someone else's fault. It's easier to say that it's the brand, or it's the system, or whatever, you know, adversities they may be able to point at. It's easier to do that than to actually say, you know what, did I dedicate the time? Did I dedicate the education part of it? You know, did I learn it? You know, no. A lot of times the answer is no, but it's easier to just say that it was someone else's fault. So I'm sure you guys understand, and you know, especially if you're parents, you know, you have kids and you see them. It's human nature. It's instilled in us because you see them maybe fighting with each other, or maybe they did something wrong, or they broke something, and immediately their mechanism, their go-to is to blame something else or someone else, or blame their brother or blame their sister. And it's just instilled in us. So as we mature in business and as we mature in life, we have to understand that it's always our fault. Even if we think, even if on the surface it's not our fault, it's always our fault. So to some extent, it's always our fault. So as long as we can come to terms with that, we will become better at just looking at situations in business. And I'll tell you right now, guys, you will profit so much. You'll be able to leverage yourself so much if you just spend a little time learning how to use your CRM system. I have John Lewis is on the call with us today. John Lewis is one who really did take the time to learn the CRM, both the one we had at Culture and the one we have here at eXp Realty. So John, how have you benefited from being able to use the CRM? Can you give us a couple of examples?
Yeah, it's basically I took the well, to answer your question simply, it automates a lot. So we had conversion was pretty good, but it automated a lot of the drip campaign. So once you set it up, you basically set it and forget it. With KV Core, it's even more robust, where you can integrate certain lead generation stuff and then automate it even further than that. So I used it to save time. Like you said, you can use anything you want just to, you know, keep track of who to call and when to call. But when you can do it automatically, it's just more money in your pocket. I mean, I got people calling me back from a year ago that I don't remember calling at all, but because they, you know, text the number during COVID, now they're, you know, buying a condo with me. It's awesome.
That works. Yeah, that's exactly as easy as it could be. I've gotten phone calls where I have no idea, like John says, who they are. A lot of people go straight to my website and start surfing without me even having to put them into the system. And then, you know, they start communicating with me because the system is communicating with them automatically. So you won't know what we're talking about unless you start using it. Then you're going to say, oh, wow, you know, they were right. This is exactly, you know, what I need. So automation and leverage is what's going to get you from being a new average agent to being a superstar rock star agent. So just take that as advice from two veterans here that are on the call.
I have a question.
Yes, Tabitha.
So I've been doing agent success plan with KV Core directly, and I've attended some different KV Core trainings. I'm actually set up now weekly to go to the one with Micah. What I'm finding is that a lot of them are basic trainings, and even the agent success plan, which is supposed to be more in depth, it's super fast. And for someone that's learning this for the same time, and I do actually have experience in drip, like I can't find anywhere where it tells me exactly what to do a drip campaign. So for example, it tells you, oh, you should set this up. This is what it does, yada, yada, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. So I played with the system. I think I figured it out, you know, thankfully I have Ivania to kind of show me, but do you know where they have like really specific videos that are just giving you a broad overview of what the system does, but actually directing you precisely step-by-step what to do?
Give us an example. What kind of functionality would it be that you're trying to do?
Well, precisely that. I watched the video on drip campaigns. And so I expected to be instructed how exactly to start a drip campaign. And it didn't. It just told me what they do and the automated functions and the different, I forget the titles of it, but it told me like the different automated functions, but it didn't go into exactly how to get that started and up and running myself.
The tutorial inside of KV Core itself, or the tutorial that eXp Realty offers?
The tutorial inside of KV Core itself, this is what I'm having a hard time with because I think that's where I'd find the most detailed. And even the KV Core trainings that I've been to, they've been more like basic trainings. It's just, you know, like setting up your initial profile or whatnot.
Yeah.
The trainings you want to take are in the KV Core tutorial. So if you open KV Core, there's a blue button at the bottom. That's where all the tutorials are. And if you sign up for the classes, they actually like level up. So they'll go from real general and get more specific and more specific and more specific, and then best practices and stuff like
Okay.
that.
I've done that. I've done that before, and I only went to one, and I kind of got the same thing. So I think I just got a little bit like, like the wind taken out of my sails, because I was really excited to attend that, and then I went, and it was like basic information and not very helpful. But I'll try it again. Thank you.
So if you can't find it there, you can always go to Inside Real Estate's YouTube page and just Google it. Because
Okay, great.
if I had a very specific question, that's usually where I found it.
Okay, great. Thank
It's
you.
Inside Real Estate on YouTube, and then you can really search exactly what you want, and most of them are there.
Okay, sweet. Thank you. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, Tabitha, I was going to say the same thing. You can just do that, but don't be shy to ask questions. You could, I think a lot of those trainings, you can ask questions and they'll be specific as you need them to be.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to add that I learned more when Louis, you did the training for us a couple of months ago when you actually walked us through it. I don't know if you recorded that one.
Yeah, they're all recorded. So I was going to tell you that next Tabitha, but I don't remember exactly which training it was, but I'll find it and I'll send it to you after we're done here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. I just don't remember how in depth I went, but I'm pretty sure I went pretty deep on it.
Mhm.
All right, guys, anything anybody want to add before we go?
You guys hear me? Y'all can hear me? No, not you.
Mhm.
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can, Tammy.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to add, me personally, like I wasn't computer literate at all. So it's this lady inside EXP, Sylvia. She set up my KV Core. I think she charged I believe I paid like $200. And she set everything up. She's really, really good. And then she sends you videos on what she set up and how you can update them. So I don't
Wow.
know if anybody's interested in that, but me personally, I can't spend the time to learn that. I have very short attention span, so I'm like, I gotta pay somebody.
I would love her. Do you remember her last name, Tammy? I'll look her up right now.
Let me see if I can find her. I'm gonna put my number in the chat,
hmm
and then you can text me, and I can communicate with you that way.
Oh, that would be awesome, because I wouldn't mind paying, especially because she's willing to still send the videos to teach exactly what she did. Because same thing, like I have my mind's spinning right now with so much to do, and I just need some help. So that would be amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else want to chime in? Anyone have anything to add before we go? All right, we'll close out with our prayer, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Dear Lord, we thank you, Father, for giving us the opportunity once again to be together on this Monday morning. Thank you for giving us the opportunity, Father, to learn from this material that you have given us. Father, we ask you for forgiveness for anything that we may have done, Father, that is not in your grace. We ask you to help us become better people, Father, better examples, role models for others, and bless our business, Father, and help us prosper every single day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Have a great day.